Okay, Sweden have beaten Germany 2-1. And the Germans didn't look right in this game. They haven't really looked right in the whole tournament, to be fair. Uh, they've not been conceding goals, but in the early games they weren't scoring goals either. With some of the talent they have on display, it just didn't quite flow right for the Germans in this tournament. The Swedes have had an iffy tournament themselves. They've not been perfect all the time. But let's have a look at the game. So the first goal actually comes from Germany, considering that Sweden have had the early opportunities and been playing better up to this point. De Bruyne creates the goal for Magul, and Magul's finish is a sort of a scissors volley. It's a very, very good finish, worthy of winning a game. One of the best finishes we've seen in the tournament so far. Absolutely. I don't know what Lindahl, the Swedish goalkeeper's doing. Bit all at sea there. The Swedish defence was undone by some very good build-up play. But the Germans didn't do enough of this good build-up play. That's the problem. Also, they were very shaky in defence on the counter-attack and from long balls, which is how they were undone for the first goal from Jakobsen. It's a defensive clearance. Was it an intentional long ball pass? We won't know. But Jakobsen obviously has anticipated that this clearance is going to reach at least the back line and decides to make a run. The two centre-backs don't read it as well. Jakobsen runs into the space and slots the ball past the German goalkeeper with a very, very good, cool, calm, collected finish. The German defence couldn't deal with Jakobsen. They couldn't deal with Blackstenius. They were regularly making runs in deep, regularly interplaying with other players like Aslani, and the German defence was looking very disorganised at times in this game, especially when the ball was turned over, counter-attacks, or even just generally on set plays. They didn't deal with crosses into the box particularly well, and while they hadn't conceded a goal up to this point, throughout this tournament, there have been signs there that this defence is the weakness for Germany, and as it proved today. The Jakobsen goal, though, on 21 minutes, the perfect response. So Sweden, if they had not responded as quickly as that, may have lost the game. But they decided they got a response quickly, and that got them back in the game. Because otherwise, it could have gone Germany's way very, very quickly, and it could have got out of hand. Because up until this point in the knockout stages, no team has won from coming from behind until now. Obviously, there's a drinks break because of the temperature and the heat. That was in the last game as well, the Italy-Holland game. There was drinks breaks because of the temperature. I think the Swedes used that drinks break quite effectively. It's like a secondary half-time kind of team talk. They used it very, very effectively. Half-time is shortly thereafter. It's 1-1. I think Sweden slightly edged the first half with their more clinical finishing. The Germans looked very wobbly in defence. The Germans had a lot of the ball and created a lot of chances themselves, but the Swedish were more accurate with their shooting and were troubling the German defence more than the Swedish defence were being troubled by the German attack. Shortly after half-time, Blackstenius' goal on 48 minutes. It's a scrambled finish, it's a poacher's finish, but in the build-up, is there a foul? That is the 50-50 debate. There is a tackle out on the German left wing. The Swedes get the ball back. Now, was it a foul? Was there too much contact? The referee deems it play on as a 50-50. And the ball was crossed into the box. There's a header, a save, and Blackstenius responds quickest because the ball lands at her feet. The Germans did not deal well with turning the ball over on the halfway line. They didn't deal well with the speed of the counter-attack, and they didn't deal with the cross very well. Yes, the goalkeepers made yet another good save, but the outfield players didn't respond correctly to losing the ball. They were very disorganised, they didn't mark up, and the Swedes were very, very good on the counter-attack as part of their game plan. The debate is, was it a foul in the build-up? No VAR check. The Germans are enraged by this. They're appealing for a VAR check. VAR hasn't checked. It doesn't deem it also a missed call. So that's an interesting one. Also, it would be debatable of how many phases of play you can go back before you check. And we'll get to another VAR check that did happen in the game later on. That is the end of the scoring after 48 minutes. Now, that sort of inspired the Germans a little bit, and the Germans then did have a lot of the ball and put Sweden under a lot of defensive pressure. The Swedes were struggling at points to get out of their half, but even though the Swedish defence and Lindahl, the goalkeeper, were a bit wobbly at times, they were still far better organised in defence, at least, than the Germans. Now, when I say Lindahl was a bit wobbly, the last 10-15 minutes, she was peppered with a lot of crosses. Some she claimed, some she came for and missed, and there's the VAR penalty review. Now, the cross comes in, Lindahl, the keeper, charges up, pop, the German captain heads the ball, but is clattered by the goalkeeper. Now, initially, it's given as offside. Correctly so. So marginal, we're talking a few inches offside, but it is offside nonetheless. However, VAR comes in again, and this time it says there's a possible penalty review. The only way it would have been a penalty is if the offside happened after the collision, not before. The offside was the first offence, and therefore it's the one that's pinged first. That's how it works. The Germans will feel aggrieved that they didn't get a penalty, but because the offside occurred before the contact, the play is whistled dead for offside. Had the offside occurred after the contact with a German player being beyond the last defender, the penalty would have been the first offence, and therefore that takes precedence. But it is interesting how that works. And not a lot of people understand how the VAR system works. Yes, the offside is the first offence, but they're seeing the contact between the goalkeeper and the attacker. We've seen a similar incident in the second round where France were playing Brazil with a goal ruled off for contact on the goalkeeper, even though it was a 50-50 challenge, much like this. So the debate about contact in the air between a goalkeeper and a player, outfield player, going for the same ball, rages on. We've seen a similar incident, obviously, in a previous game. Was the VAR review correct? By the letter of the law, yes, but the FIFA are overcomplicating some of the rules and some of the interpretations of VAR when it can be used, because it possibly should have been used for the Blackstenius goal on at least reviewing that challenge. It wasn't called upon. So what's the remit of VAR? That's the question. Can the Germans feel hard done by? Well, the Swedes were more clinical with their finishing. Did the better team win? The better defensive team won, yes. They were still struggling, even though the Swedes were still willing to counter-attack right up until the added time. They were still willing to get on the counter-attack and trouble the German backline after this. But Lindahl, that could be a weakness going forward, and we'll preview both semi-finals, but both defences looked wobbly at times, the Germans more so. The Swedes looked better in attack. The Germans, while they had a lot of possession, a lot of it was slow and methodical and easy to defend. But there we go. Now, notes of the day. This is Sweden's first win in 24 years over the Germans. That is a very, very long streak of not winning against this side. So they've got a big, big win. That can give them a lot of momentum going into the next round. Also, Sweden are the only team to win in this tournament after conceding first and coming from behind in the knockout stages. In fact, only two teams have actually won in this tournament coming from behind, the other being Italy against Australia in the group stages. So, generally speaking, in this tournament, if you score first, generally you're going to win the game. The only other comeback that was a draw was Scotland-Argentina, which ended 3-3. So there's only been 3 comebacks, 2 wins, and therefore, generally, if you score first, you're most likely to win the game. But on that note, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. Please place your thoughts below. Please also hit the like and subscribe buttons. And I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.